Hello everyone, this is Teresa, Scrapper69 to most of you, from Scrappers Anonymous. I am here to do a video for you. Today we are doing my digital studio and showing you how to import it into your Cameo Silhouette program so you can cut the items out. Now I've already pre-done this page, and so I put two sets on this page. I did a 12 by 12 layout. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to show you how I do it. I projects to save it. Instead of export to SVG, what I did was I just do export pages. Now I'm sure there's a way to do the export SVG, but I have yet to figure that out, which will probably be a video down the road or something. But for now, I'm just going to show you what I do in order to cut my items out from my digital studio to my Cameo, okay? So I'm going to export the pages. It's going to say, do you want to save your project? Yes, I want to save my project. And you want to make sure your JPEG is large. Mine is the large one here, and I am saving it to my documents, and I'm going to click it and it's going to save it right now. Okay. And it's going to say my document is saved and we're all good. So now it is saved. So what I do next is then I minimize that window and I open my my Cameo program. Okay, so after I saved it, I open my Cameo Silhouette program here, and as you can see my mat and everything there. What I do is I go up to File, and then I go to Import to my library. That's what I hit. And then I go down here to where it says Silhouette Studios. I change it to all files because that's what it's saved as. As you can see, I had something else I made earlier. So I'm going to go to my documents. I'm going to find the item that I made. There you go. Okay, so there's my thing. Now what I'm going to do is click OK. This comes up, and what this is just if you want to save it as a keyword in your file, in your Silhouette program, your library, you can. I don't. I just, because I'm only doing it the one time, so I just click OK and it goes away. Then I go back up to File, go back to my library, and then I go to Mine. And as you can see, I've made a bunch of different ones that are in here. And as you can tell, there's my item that I just created in my digital studio, and now I'm going to put it in here. Now it shows small, but that's okay. All I do is I come up to Object, Transform, Scale Options, and then I just change the size to whatever size my paper is. Today I'm doing a 12 by 12. Normally I don't. I usually just do 8.5 by 11s, but I just figured it was just easier to do it this way. Okay, so I put in 12 by 12. I hit enter, and you see how it enlarges to the size, and it's going to print just fine and look exactly like how you want it. So then I lock in the ratio and I apply it, so this way it stays. It doesn't go anywhere. So there it is, my 12 by 12. After I do that, then what I do next is I come up here to where it says open the page tools window, and I make sure that all my settings are correct first. I do 12 by 12 as the mat, 12 by 12 is the paper I'm using this time, and it sets itself up, okay? Then I automatically go straight over to the registration marks because you want to print this and then you want to cut it. So I always click that, and as you can see, my images are within the square. As long as your images is within this square box, this red one, you're okay. Everything will cut that you want, okay? So that's what I got now. Everything is in the square unit. After I do that, then I go to Select Trace Area. So then this part is where I'm going to trace everything that I want cut out. And in this case, I pretty much want it all cut out. So I'm going to just highlight it, which I think that top part is too low. I'm going to undo it. That's the best part about Silhouette, is you can undo everything and redo it. Select Trace again. You see how my little arrow line is there? Try and get a little bit above it, but not too high because you don't want it above the red line because otherwise it won't cut. And let's see. Yeah, it gives a little bit better look there. I want it all to cut in there. Okay, so now you see it's kind of yellow. What I do next is I go here to Trace Settings, uncheck the High Pass Filter, and go straight to Threshold. And then I go all the way up to, I usually do about 98. I don't do a full 100. I do 98%. And see how all that is yellow now? What it means is what it's going to do is just cut out the outside of the border. It's not going to cut inside. It's just going to cut the outside. So that's that. And then I hit the trace outer edge. And what it does is, as you can see, you'll see a red line around everything. And if there's a red line around everything, what it's going to do is I'm going to print everything, and then it's just going to cut the outer border of everything. And that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so anyway, we have our mat, and I highlighted it, and everything is in red. That's all the way around it. And if you're not sure, you can actually move your images and then move it back so you know. See how you see? If I move them, you see how the red circle is around there and the red square and that? That means that they are going to be cut on the outside only. So if you do unmove, edit, undo move, then you go right back to where you were. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to print it first because I have my markings, everything's ready to go. So I make sure, of course, my printer setting's all set. Mine's on custom because my printer can actually print 12 by 12 out. So we're going to print first, and you'll probably hear that in the background here in just a minute. And then to show you when we put it into the Cameo, okay? Okay, so it's all printed, and I wanted to show you. You can see the score line, or the markings, I should say, the registration marks. There's one there. There's one up here. It's a little square, and then there's one over here. Now, it's all set up. It's ready to cut now, and it's all ready in my Cameo. What I'm going to show you is that it'll tell you, okay, we went to print, and now we're going to go to cut. So we go here, and the first thing it's going to ask you is if you printed it. Well, of course we did, so we're going to skip the printing process. Sorry about that. Skip the printing process. Okay, then it's going to tell you to load it, and it's going to tell you to, you know, load cutting mat, blah, blah, blah. So you're going to hit the continue button on that, and then you want it to detect the automatically the registration marks. So as you can hear it, it's just checking to see if they're there before it does its cutting. Okay, now it's ready to cut. So everything that we printed and moved over to our Cameo is going to cut now. And you can set your texture cardstock to whatever. Mine's not really textured, but I just leave it at the setting all the time, and it cuts just fine. Anyway, that's just me. So now I'm going to press cut, and you can hear it. It's going to get ready to cut it. And in just a couple minutes, I will show you all my pieces that I cut out using my digital studio, transferring it over to my Cameo, and we will make a card. Okay? Okay, well, everything is now cut out, and you may not see it yet because I didn't show it to you, but I wanted to show it to you live. You can see there is my layer. It's cut out, and it's going to go on my blue right here, just like so. So you can see I'm making a card right now in front of your eyes. There's the little tickets. There's one of them that I'm going to place. Another little ticket I cut out that I'm going to place. The yellow tickets, as I'm doing this with one hand because I'm holding my camera, and the forever right on top of it. So in a matter of minutes, I just created this card. And I know this one I created really quickly because this is actually one of my Digital Studio templates. And those are just so much fun to mess with now, because now that we can import them into our paper, it makes it so easy to create whatever you want as quickly as you want. I actually did one last night, so all I have to do is glue everything together, and this is a wedding card that I made. I have friends that are getting married, so this would be perfect. Okay, but last night I also did this. I did a 12 by 12 design, and I shrunk it down to fit a A2 size card. And all I did was, you know, move a few things around. I'm going to add a few things to it, of course, too. But all these circles were all cut out from it, all of them. So that's what I did with that. And then what I did on the design was the 12 by 12 was, of course, 12 by 12, but it didn't have this one here, so I added this. And then it had like 2 tiny stitching lines, so I changed it to 1 zigzag, and then I changed it to Perfect Love. And then I plan to add pearls to mine so that it gives it a little bit more something. But I just took a 12 by 12 and shrunk it down to fit an A2 size. And I printed everything, and then I cut it all out, and now I got myself a beautiful card. So, I mean, you guys have got to try this. I mean, I may be doing it differently than somebody else, but this is what I found easiest for me to work, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to just continue to do that until I keep messing with it a little bit more to find out other features. Like I said, the export to SVG, I still haven't quite figured that out yet, but I figured if I did it through the JPEG, it still transfers over. All I have to do is bring it up to its normal size, and everything cuts out exactly the way I want it, and that's what you all want, the same as me, is we all want them to cut just right so we can make cards quickly or whatever if you're in a hurry. But I have noticed one thing, and I will tell you all this because it has happened to me, and so I thought from my experience I better share that with you. From my experience, what I've noticed is if I put in anything with any white around it, it will cut, and that's what you don't want. Like, let me show you, for example, last night I was working on this. Last night I had to fudge this a little bit. The first time I did it, these, I'm going to zoom in here on this program, these stars were off of my sheet. So when they were, and I went to go cut, they were reading it as the white paper, and when it does, it's just going to cut. It started to actually cut it out. Here, let me show you one example. I'll find the one I cut last night and I can show you what it looks like. Okay, here's my original one, the very first one I did. I printed it and I went to cut, but see how it's got that little thingy there? What it is because that white piece was attached to the green color, it automatically showed as a negative, so it cut through it. So whatever you create something, you want to make sure it has a full border all the way around it if you're using white. For instance, like the wedding one I just showed you. Let me go to new, and what I did was these circles originally do not have a border around them. I think only the black is. All of these do not. So what I did was I added a tiny little line border, you know, because you can use, in my digital studio, you have the matte layer over here. You have the matte layer. And what you could do is you just add a tiny matte layer to something, which is what I did. I added a matte layer, and that's how I was able to fix it. If you add, I just did a 1, and it was of course in black, and what I did was I just did that, and then I imported it over here, and then it cut the circle out completely. Now without that, it probably would have cut through here, and on this, and in here, and here, and all of this would have just been, I don't even know if it would have even cut. It probably just wouldn't have cut a circle. But because of that being white, it will actually cut through it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying or not, but it's what I noticed. So anything that's white, you may want to put a slight border around it, or make sure it's not, like in this case, on the edge, because the edging of this made it cut through, and it shouldn't have. You would think it wouldn't have, but because it's on white paper, it's reading it like that. So you want it to be just like this end, where there's no white showing. It's all just straight green, and it cut straight through like it was supposed to. Everything else cut just like it was supposed to, until you got to that side where the star was kind of sticking out, and it was on the white on white like that. And so it read it differently. Anywho, I just thought I would share that with you. I don't know if it'll help you or if you understood what I said, because I'm not really good at all this stuff yet either. So I've only had my Cameo since April, and I've been messing with it, and now that I have the my Digital Studio number 2, it's been even more fun to use. I just love using them together and making my cards this way. In fact, I have so much paper in my room right now, and I don't even use it anymore because I just print it out. So anyway, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, and I will try and answer your questions up to what I know anyway. All right? Good luck. Make yourself your first digital card with my Digital Studio and your Cameo. All right. Bye.